Manitoba. I've been teaching for 40 years. The last 20 years have been on this campus. The last 8 years have been solely just for the Access programs. And it's my pleasure to be here today. I sound very croaky because I blame all this on my grandchildren. I retired from work to become a full-time grandmother to a little 3-year-old Eric and 1-year-old Emily, and they keep giving me germs. So here I am. I'd like to acknowledge that the University of Manitoba campuses are located on the original lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe, Dakota, and Dene peoples on the homeland of the Métis Nation. Okay, I promise I'll keep this lecture to under an hour. I kind of miss teaching, so I can come and give a lecture. Well, to elders who are present, to our artist, Biktor Yias and her family, to administrators, special guests, staff, and students, we're so delighted that all of you have come out today to this really wonderful event that's been a year and a half in the making. And as this unveiling is called A Creation Story, it's by artist Biktor Yias. And Victoria would like to dedicate the work she's done here to her home community of Saugeen First Nation and to all of her fellow residential school survivors. So I thought I'd give you a little background on how this project happened. Victoria just didn't decide one day to paint on the glass here. Although it was interesting how it did happen, because we discussed this in a staff meeting with Access, how we'd like some more artwork. And so then I ran into Victoria. Well, I shouldn't say run into her, she's often in my office because we love talking and we laugh a lot together. I think it's that mother-grandmother vibe we have going. Well, she'd already been dreaming about these panels and about a story on these panels, so I realized, oh, this is meant to be. But of course, all these things take planning and they take financial support. So I would like to say a really wonderful, huge thank you to the Office of Indigenous Engagement, and in particular to Dr. Lynn Lavallee. She's a former Vice Provost of Indigenous Engagement. She's now back at Ryerson, I believe, who said to Victoria and to me, she said, you know, if you get the proposal in, get the proper support from your faculty and from Christine, she said, get all that paperwork in and I'll make sure I find you some funding. That's what we did. So additionally, I'd like to thank Carol Johnson for, first of all, at the time, formatting the budget, because I had no idea how to do that on a spreadsheet, etc. But mostly now for overseeing this whole project once I decided to retire. I'd also like to thank Dr. Gary Hepburn, the former Dean of Extended Education, and Christine Sear, Director of the Indigenous Student Center, for not just saying yes to the project, but also providing the documentation that Lynn and the committee required to support the proposal. Thank you also to Leslie Backlund and Lorna Trapp, who are just always there to assist wherever it's needed. They always walk alongside both staff and students. Well, to do something like this and get university funding, you have to show that it goes along with the university's plans, the university's ideals, the values of the university. So I'm going to read you just a short excerpt from the executive summary of the proposal. I'm not going to read you all 7 pages. Just a short excerpt so you can see how this ties in with the university and what the university's goals and strategic plans are as they relate to Indigenous programming and Indigenous students. So this art project, which we'll see shortly, it's a painting of a story on the 11 glass panels of the balcony overlooking McGeezy's main floor meeting space. It supports the university's commitment to weaving, and this is taken from the strategic plan, weaving the knowledge and traditions of our Indigenous students into the identity of our university by making Indigenous culture, language, and symbols visible on our campuses. In the words of the artist, this project will give a visual voice to the richness of our culture, stories, and what education means to us as students and staff at McGeezy Agamet. This project will reach a large and diverse audience at the University of Manitoba as McGeezy Agamet welcomes diverse groups of university and community members to its space. And as, not today, it was beautiful yesterday with the sun coming through, but as the changing patterns of the sky are reflected in the glass panels, this project will not only provide comfort to the students studying below, but it will also teach others who we are as people, illustrating that we have a rich and diverse culture we are honored to share through our stories, languages, and art. So that's just an excerpt from the executive summary, and the whole proposal had to explain and expand on that, and convince the committee of why this is so important. So I'd like to tell you a bit about Victoria before she comes up to explain the artwork. So just who is this Victoria, besides being a friend of mine? Well, outside of her personal and family life, although they're so intertwined, her artistic life and who she is as a person, she's an Anishinaabe artist, a knowledge keeper, a graphic designer, a storyteller, an illustrator, a visual artist, a cultural arts teacher, and she's currently teaching art part-time at Saginaw First Nation, her home community, to grades 7 and 8 students. And she's also right now a full-time master's student at the University of Manitoba. Oh, it's exhausting thinking about it, and I thought grandchildren were tiring. Victoria was born in St. Boniface, just over the river there, but her home community is Saginaw. And her identity and artistic vision are shaped by her experiences at the Fort Alexander Residential School. And I have a Kleenex here to make sure I get through this, because it, you know, for me as a non-Indigenous person learning about this, at 4 years old, she was stolen from her family, 4 years old, and was put into the Fort Alexander Residential School. And she was there for 8 years until the school closed. At that point, her family moved to Red Lake, Ontario, and she spent about 25 years in that area, raising children. At the same time, she was working in arts education. She had a project with the Royal Conservatory and an arts programming throughout northwestern Ontario. She has 4 long since grown daughters, as they're really all grown up, and Robin's here today, one of them. And she has 2 younger ones that are just being launched into adulthood now. Her son, River, and River is at post-secondary in Calgary right now, so he's being live streamed, getting a live stream of this with family and friends from Calgary. And her youngest daughter, Adia, who's here right now, and both these children are pursuing artistic endeavors, so they've obviously inherited some of this gift. And we have to also acknowledge, whenever we talk about Victoria, we have to acknowledge her partner, her husband, Alan. 31 years. Whoa. I've had children for that long, but wow, to have a partner for that long, that's incredible. And there's 9 grandchildren as well. You know, we're all shaped by events in our lives, and Victoria is certainly shaped by her experience at residential school, what that did to her childhood. She's also shaped very much by more recent events in her life, and I remember this sad day a few years ago when her mother, Emily, was killed in a very tragic accident. And Victoria had promised her mother that she would pursue her education and she would become a teacher. And her mother saw this because Victoria already was doing teaching and doing workshops, and she had completed a diploma in graphic design and printmaking from the Winnipeg Technical College. She completed a diploma from the Aboriginal Wellness Program here at the University of Manitoba, and at the time her mother passed, Victoria was working on her BA, an advanced BA in Native Studies, Fine Arts Psychology. After she completed that, she continued on and did a B.Ed in senior years. And right now, in addition to her teaching up north and projects such as this that she has commissioned, she's enrolled in a master's program. And I do have to chuckle when I say this, being a longtime teacher. And she's doing her huge role in reconciliation here because she's enrolled in a master's program in curriculum and literacy. Her aim is to bring the storytelling of the Anishinaabe into a curriculum setting for academia. I have to smile when I say that. Wow, what a project. Her mom is just, she's just thrilled with Victoria, we know that. Victoria also wants to dedicate her academic achievements to Jackson, a grandson who's also passed over. Now, the types of art that Victoria does, you can see this if you go on the internet. The internet is full of examples of Victoria's art because she's had so many commissions for so many different groups. So she does both realistic and abstract art. This includes pyrography, which I only know from the Greek, meaning writing with fire. Look out, Alan. It sounds dangerous. She does painting, drawing, printmaking, and she uses a really wide range of mediums, including graphite and colored pencils, acrylic paints, inks, and wood-burning tools. She also has a background in crafts and jewelry making. I'm very fortunate to have the fob that's on my keychain is made by Victoria. I have earrings I wear, not today, but made by Victoria. She does quilting, sewing, and some 3D art. She's known in Winnipeg for her work with the Holistic Expressive Arts Therapy Program, And there she led workshops and presentations using Anishinaabe teachings and language. She's in demand as a storyteller, as an arts educator, and I know she has many commissioned artworks. I think the first time Lynn and I discussed this was the day that Lauren and I had gone over to another unveiling of Biktor Yias in the architecture building. And that was, it's a piece of artwork that's on a pillar, a four-sided pillar that's placed in an indoor Indigenous garden in the architecture, or the agriculture building. It just boggles my mind how she imagined how that would be done to wrap around this pillar. And that's where we first, Lynn and I first discussed this proposal. So she's a very busy person. Through her work, Victoria honors those who did not survive residential school. And she feels she now has a clear understanding of why she became an overachiever with her studies. I know Victoria is such a kind, generous, very loving and gifted person, and funny. We do laugh an awful lot together. And who is she? Well, she's still that little Anishinaabe girl whose schooling began with the intrinsic beauty of her natural surroundings, where she grew up in Sagane, and the stories told to her by her grandmother. And that's the beginnings of Victoria the artist, who you're going to meet right now. So, Victoria.
It's very good to speak my first language, because then I really feel I'm at home, not just on the land, but be able to express that and say that again. And I dedicate this as well to my family in Saging, and coming back home to Saging, it's such an overwhelming feeling. And being with the young people there. Our young people need us more than anything now. And being in the classroom setting with the grade 7 and 8s, they have a lot of stories of their own. And I sit and I listen. And I'm the one learning from them. I bring a message, but it's the young people that teach us. So I wanted to say that, and I told him too that I'm going to be here telling the story. And he said, good, tell us the story when you come back too. So we have that humor as Anishinaabe people, especially coming from a dark place as residential school, CFS, 60 school, day school. You know, we find it. We find our way, and we're still here. Chimigwech. Now it's story time. A long time ago, time was different. It was forever. No words can comprehend the openness, space where it was so vast that no living creature would be able to understand until it came to be. It was blue, it was warm, moving like waves of comfort, the smell of the sea. Out in the distance, a tiny being always waiting and watching. Something came in moments which looked like morphs of energy, moving slowly, coming to be, what we call the stones, earth and land as we know today. We are not sure of how the humans came to be. It was told that we were lowered here by a supreme force greater than ourselves. Many stories began to exist as the moments came into a process. The more they surface out of the water and onto the ground, the more we see. It was a miracle, a creation, just like how we as humans came to be. When the first moment was lowered, something started to happen. The more thoughts, feelings that would come through, the more came. Every moment was unique. Each of them had colors, feelings, positive and negative. A balance started to form. Up in the skies came a messenger. Who were they? As the humans started to come to be, they did not know, for they could not quite see. hear or feel only that they were coming to be. Does it make sense? Not till they see the ones that they will help them be. The feelings of morphing, not quite like physical birth, more like a dream state. Our plan of life is set before we come to be. You see the moments that the woman had given, not only nourishment for the physical body, but also our spirits. Give. Give to the land, they say, for it is your destiny to teach, to learn and play. These beings were so beautiful that the human mind could not comprehend, but feel only with spirit and energy. There was a time of interruption, a time where the trees felt the sorrow of the humans. The humans came to a frozen time, only for a while. They could not move. They could feel the stillness of nothing. When is the time we can feel again, as they asked the trees? The trees replied, hang on to our roots, for all is not lost, and we will be under the land for a while, a place where nothingness must be for a while. A time can when moments start to move again. It took so long for some, and some for a short time. The humans realized moments never left. They were always there. It is us, the humans, who must change to bloom. Look at what all these delicate beings, they fly like they own the skies. Out in the distance and never left, the shadows you can see, constantly watching, constantly cleaning, a presence always felt, but not always acknowledged. The beautiful beings, these delicate flying flowers come and go, the land where they bite, so light at times not felt, but are there. Moments are interrupted through dreams, through vision and learning. Is this the purpose of humans? The humans will travel with moments, one moment at a time. Raven will wait at the end of the line when the human learns moments, the real interruption of time. And I wanted to say there's a lot more to the story, so it's a story within a story. And it depends on how you interpret moments. I remember my granny, Pauline Cushane Guimont, she would say, "Pei ka," all the time. I'd hear that word, "Pei ka." You know, don't get ahead of yourself. Don't stay behind. Don't go to your left or your right. Moment, right now. And it took me this time to understand that's what the stories are about. It's moment, right now. Jimmy Gwich. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Victoria. All I can say is wow. It's been really hard for the staff here not to look. Like we would take little peeks, but nobody wanted to spoil today, so it's stunning, absolutely stunning. Thank you so much. I just wanted to say a quick thank you. Of course, I know Louise has already mentioned it, but a quick thank you to all the staff in Megazine, Indigenous Student Center, Indigenous Achievement and Access for all their hard work in putting together the Unveiling and everything that goes into that, which we you know, is a lot of detail. So thanks to everyone, especially Carol, who coordinated this whole thing. And so I know it was a lot of details, and the staff upstairs and down here as well. So thanks to everybody. And I do have a small, just a token of our appreciation to Louise. Where did she go? Just a little thank you. A little thank you for agreeing to be our MC today. You really did a wonderful job. Thank you. Thanks. And also Sarah. Where's Sarah? Sarah. Oh, there she is. Sarah was our meter and greeter, so thank you so much, Sarah. Just a little thank you for volunteering your time to do that. Thanks so much. Okay, so I just want to let everyone know there's food in the circle room, so feel free to get up and help yourselves and mingle and take in that beautiful artwork. So thanks everyone for coming. Thank you.